What is up, ladies and
No,
gentlemen? This is Spain alongside Neko. Uh,
no, hello.
what we're talking about is the subject of our video is morality in video games, and according to me, why video games tend to get this wrong most of the time.
I find it a really interesting mechanic, honestly. It's a hard thing to do 95% of the time. I've only seen it done well, and I would even say Fallout doesn't even do it that well. But the reason why is just because, yeah, as Bane put it, while in a previous discussion, was just this entire idea of, hey, you were a dick to this person. Why would this person want to give you this?
For you guys that haven't heard us talk, because this was a personal conversation between us, is that if, for example, you are playing as an evil villain, even though you're supposed to be this courageous hero, why then suddenly, all of a sudden, a random shopkeeper assigns you a mission to find something that he has lost centuries ago, even though everybody in the city knows that you're a cutthroat monster who burns cities for a living?
Yes, destruction. Let's help this man who destroys cities.
I mean, like, if you're gonna act like a Mongolian, why the city peasants should help you?
Honestly, he has a point.
Because of the whole thing that a game who usually says that they have a karma system is either just like a cutscene of like, hey, you done bad. The game should slap you on the wrist and call you a bad boy. And if you do good, it's like, hey, the game should give you a cookie and then slap you on the bum and say you done good. Like, nobody, no, none of the games I have ever played, and I have been playing games for like when I was like 6 to 7. So I have been like playing for a while. I don't know why I had to brag about that. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But the problem
That was an odd humble brag.
yeah, that was non-humble brag. The reason I'm saying it is because after years of me playing a lot of games, I never came across a game, even including Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus, has never have given me the sense that if I'm the courageous hero and me screwing it up was a real consequence. Even Undertale, for Christ's sake.
I find that when it comes to, well, most games like it, it's really hard to do that as, well, we can't really make complex AI like that.
I disagree on that.
Alright.
Because if, like, it doesn't have to have a complex AI. You could make a game that is deep, complex, and even thought-provoking at times. Take example for Deus Ex, Fallout New Vegas, original Fallout, and many other games like it. It doesn't have to have a complex AI to achieve something like this. It has to have a competent and clever game designers with at least a knowledge of psychology, or like someone who has seen a lot to kind of give this person or the player the effect of what going through shit or like doing terrible things can give to people.
Mm.
Because let's think for a second. If I punch you in the face, your fight, like, most of the time your fight senses would kick in, and then you would you would either ask me, which is, I don't think that will be the most, you'd be asking like, why the hell did you punch me? Or if you're the most people, you would punch me right back. Because the thing is that my actions tend to have a consequence. And let's take that to the extreme. If I burned your house, you would have the right to call the cops on me. Or if you're one of those renegade people, you could just rightfully burn me or my house down as well. So
Time to throw you in the ditch.
If I burned your house in an example like that, why in the hell would you give me why would you ask me to retrieve something that has importance to you?
You probably just go like, hey, funny me gonna kill you.
Yeah, it'd probably be like that. Like, or the next day the cops would arrive at my house and take me away. That's the thing. Like, in my mind, I have a really great video game idea that includes systems like this. But the problem is this. Not because, like Nico said, we don't have a complex AI. That's a different story entirely. But what my main problem is this. Why morality is something that is so on the low end for video games?
I think it's because most people don't really think about what's the best way of putting this. Most people don't really have time to think about that. Like, I'm going to use Payday for an example. I don't think there's morality in that system. Well, it doesn't need one. It's you're gunning down thousands among thousands of SWAT members and cops and X amount of people, but you're still having this entirety of a question of this. We all know that this is unethical as hell, but we do it anyway because it's fun.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's burn down some guy and then watch him scream for his life. Yeah, that's fun. But, and ladies and gentlemen, we are just two people who are doing stupid stuff and giving our opinions on it. After all, this is our reasoning for the podcast. It's like we would like to explore the things from our perspective and would like to hear from you. If at any time you feel like there's a game that proves our entire point wrong, or if there is a game that kinda explains your case in a better context, or anything like that, even if you want to bring your own perspective to it, please let us know in the comments. We would love to be corrected. If Nico, if you may, please continue.
Other games that I think that could push that. Let me open my Steam library.
And that will be.
Open says my Steam. There we go. One that I actually pulls a lot is actually a game I liked called One Bit Heart, where the entire game's combat, and I use combat in giant freaking air quotes, is through talking to people. The only way you can progress the game is through finding conversations and going through that way, and I think it's one of the coolest ways to do an RPG system ever.
Very interesting in my opinion, because of the fact that if you can't bring a conversation and like dissolve in ways in a civil way, why haven't we gotten a lot of games that implore these methods?
Because it's hard. It's ridiculously hard.
I mean, if we can get combat and fighting easier, and I mean hell of a lot easier, what prevents us from making a good conversation system? I mean, let's look at Fallout again. I'm gonna suck Fallout's dick and say that they have a really good conversation system. Even
dependent on the game.
Yeah, depending on the game. I'm sorry, Bethesda, but just no, brother, no. What I was gonna say is this: a Fallout New Vegas or all original Fallout, you can have a lot of conversations. Actually, like you might be like, why morality in here? In like just only Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4, right? In original Fallout, is this in Fallout 4? You can tell Kasumi that she's a synth while her family is celebrating the whole thing. And that would just like get like a couple like ooh no just like like 1 to 2 bad things, and the quest will still be counted as complete. But the part will just say one bad thing to you. If you talk to Master and convince and use actual reasoning and actual evidence to convince him that his master plan is full of shit, he will kill himself. And
he will just go like, well, fuck.
because even though he is still a monster, he is still a man of reason. He listens to the arguments, he makes up his mind, and if he's proven wrong, he will act accordingly. Even though blowing yourself up and blowing everyone who worships you doesn't scream to me that it screams like, yeah, that's the best course of action. But
I use Leggett Lanius, actually. Leggett Lanius is a great example of this as well, and even Joshua Graham to an extent. You know, he's sitting there, and you can talk Joshua into being merciful. Same with Legus. He goes like, well, shit.
Though with Lanius, you have to kind of lie a bit.
Not really. All the things it tells you are rather truthful. that Mojave is huge. They're ever expanding. They're going to draw their lines too thin, and when they draw their lines too thin, they're going to lose.
What happens if these? I am the East. But I like the thing is we can say if you want you can check. We can wait. But our point still stands. Like a lot of the times morality can be good and morality can be done in a great way. But we haven't seen a lot of games, if at all, have done really, really great mechanics about morality.
I agree with this. There's a lot of games that actually support the opposite. I see games like Party Hard, freaking uh, you can see old World War I games. But I've also seen a lot of things for the other side as well. But I agree. There's a lot of games that don't really support it. Fuck, the entire Grand Theft Auto series is kind of an example of this. Yes, steel car, good.
Yeah, because like let's all be honest, it's like let's like GTA's story is not perfect, but it's a great game with great story. Not like okay, I should probably rephrase that. It's a great story for GTA's sake, and that's coming
Grand
from
Theft Auto had a
and
good story.
yeah, that's coming from someone who sucks Vice City off. But what?
Hey, yo, Tony!
Yeah, I love Scarface so much. I'm sorry, legitimate. My bias is running strong with this one. What I would like to ask you, the dear audience, if you can present me a video game that not just to you, but to like a really, really good example of a great morality in video games, please let us know. Not just that we would love to be corrected, is that I would like to know that there is a game who does morality and the systems of ethic, like the perspective, all of that really effectively. Because I think that as much as games could have guns and shooting and all of that amazing action, I think there is an action and there is a certain amount of skill that takes in like that, convincing somebody to that they're wrong, trying to prove somebody that they're like that you're not a bad guy, or like we said, when you're burning a house down, they stay mad at you and never give you missions.
Something that I actually enjoy is fucking Metro. For the exact same reason, Metro has an amazing morality system. I think the problem with Metro is that it's very, very badly communicated.
Can I give an example?
Go ahead.
If you have raised your gun and then two enemies approach you, you put your gun down, and they put their gun down, and you can talk to them, barter with them, sleep in their beds, and they'll be friendly with you. This is actually a thing in Metro.
Really? Which Metro is this?
As far as I remember, like I just saw it. I haven't played Metro yet, but I've seen videos about it because like Metro for me is such an interesting game. I'm sorry. Like, what do I listen? I mean, I'm so sorry. It's like, oh, you're talking about Metro without knowing a thing about Metro. It's just that I know someone who's really close to me played Metro, and I've just seen that, and that game caught my interest. So please excuse me.
Really? No help at all. Sorry for that. That is my father.
I wish I could play.
When it comes to games like it, I feel like it's really hard to pull off morality without either having a very complex way of having it. I look at things like Metro, Darkest Dungeon, things like that. But either that or it's reckless abandon. Things like Fallout and Mass Effect are ones that come to mind.
I think I'm gonna kind of contradict myself and say that the Mass Effect trying to convince Siren that was it his name Siren?
I think his name was Siren.
The last boss who has two faces.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, what was his name?
Which one was he in?
Mass Effect 2, I think. Or the original Mass Effect. In the Citadel. He says, "Thank you, Shepard," pulls a gun to himself and kills himself.
Oh, him!
Yeah.
Race Against Time, Final Battle, Parabellum, the Citadel Tower, Council. Yeah, it's Siren.
Yeah, I got this right.
I checked first, I'll admit it.
Siren. If your karma is high enough, which I still think that it's a bit stupid, like, hey, karma,
Karma, yes!
like karma can convince someone that they can kill them. They should, like, their problem is entirely wrong, but I think that's par for the course. And then, like, talking to him and reasoning with him that his plan doesn't work, and then he proceeds to shoot himself, sparing you one phase of the boss battle.
Yes, gun good. I just don't like those kinds of systems because I feel they're very black and white. There is no gray line between them, and that's why I stopped playing a lot of games like this. They're fun games, but at the end of the time, at the end of the line, you're either playing absolute evil or absolute good.
I'm gonna say, like, original Fallout and like Fallout 1 and 2 and Fallout New Vegas kind of got something about that.
I agree. It's why I've been playing a crap ton of Fallout New Vegas.
Is like, in Fallout, like, you're either vilified or, like, or like you're the child of God, but or like hell, even at the ending, if you don't do what James tells you, the game calls you a coward. But
because cowardice. Because cowardice. Yay!
In Fallout New Vegas, you could be something of a called wild card, and you people are smart to know what a wild card is.
That ending is kind of difficult because it forces you to get to know everybody.
And I'm gonna put Deus Ex Original into this. None of the endings, like, literally none of the endings you choose will make you a good guy. You side with the Illuminati. Morgan Everett has betrayed Lucius de Beers before. What would stop him from doing it to you? Shutting down the internet, letting complete anarchy run the streets. An internet was built really quickly there. What stops them from rebuilding the internet and letting Majestic 12 reign the control again? Or literally merging with Helios, a autocratic system with no free will. You're gonna let that happen? Like, there's a lot, like, every other choice you can make is wrong. And we're talking about a game that has a, that's running with a plutocratic system in mind. But my main exampling of Deus Ex is for a very simple reason. It's this. If a game like this can give you a great line even for the ending, and can, like, even though you can feel like, yeah, I did the right choice, but after 5 minutes you're like, holy shit, did I do the right thing? That kind of game is, in my opinion, is a really good game because of the fact that instead of focus on, like, bang bang shoot, it focuses on the human psychology and human nature. Neko, would you like to give an example?
When it comes to human psychology and nature, I can't really. I gotta go take my dog out. Be right back. The only game that can come to mind that I can think of is actually, believe it or not, Dark Souls.
How come?
Because of the fact that there are a lot of ways that you can play in the game. You can be a complete and utter loner and go, hey, I'm not talking to anyone, and completely disregard almost every big storyline thing in the entire ideas. But the minute you start learning about people, you realize that you go through the entire game trying to help save these people, and then they all end up turning or dying. Or both. And you kind of feel like crap at the end of it all.
gray, which does help a lot, you know, when you're trying to save people in a fucking okay.
And they're suicidal, all of them.
It's like if you want to kill yourself, you come to the right place. Cause I want to fucking kill myself as well.
It's more the fact that once you're done almost all their quest lines, they either go insane or they pretty much either go insane or die.
Which is how I do in my normal life. Like, again, there's a law, like, we have perfected video games with shooting action, open worlds, amazing detail. Hell, we have even seen, like, horse balls growing in size.
Like The Witcher.
I was gonna say Red Dead 2, but okay. Hell, we even have seen video games with amazing minor details. But I think, like, if you want to make a game feel lived in and, like, little detail, I suggest we take a example from Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Isn't that the first Deus Ex, or is it the more recent one?
Last Deus Ex. There's original Deus Ex Invisible War, Deus Ex Mankind, like Deus Ex Human Revolution, Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Ah, okay.
And let's all be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Deus Ex Invisible War sucks ass!
I never played it.
I did, and it was shit!
How come it was so bad?
You can literally help the Crusaders. It's like, they were like, hey, let's take 3 endings and then let's make all of them canon. Well, semi-canon. Like, the internet shuts down, and then, you know, like, Daedalus takes control, and then Illuminati rises to power because I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, let's just, like, come on. You could have just, like, picked one canon and just let the thing be. By the way, let's all, like, again, for Deus Ex fans, if you want to find the most beautiful voice in the entire game, don't at me. It's it's the right hand man of Paige, Walton Simons.
Yeah.
His voice is just goddamn perfect. Back to the subject at hand. We're skipping, great. Like, again, why don't we have, if we can master all these, why don't we have a good speech and good conversation system? Like, if game like Deus Ex can make a small map with a lot of details and like NPCs that you can have a nice conversation, worlds you can find, worlds you can have an interest on, like worlds have secrets that like a master world for a master world would just seem like kind of boring to. Why don't we have the things like that? It's because I feel like it's because nowadays game designers are trying to make games looking greater. It's like an arms race of graphics rather than quality of the game.
I agree. I'm interested in seeing where Cyberpunk's going to go with all these systems, because it feels like it's going to be a rather complex game.
And here's me hoping that Cyberpunk has really, really great conversation system. By the way, I'm gonna say something. I think Neko will agree. CD Projekt Red, you guys are amazing people. Please get a good conversation system running. If you guys haven't. And your opinions, Neko?
As my friend, as the quartering says, you know, I can wait for a while, but soon enough, I just want to say, please give me my damn game.
Oh, Quartering, god damn, I miss him. I even subscribed to his site, by the way.
Oh shit!
Yeah. It's like, you know, I get respectful for all the games and with artistic vision. For me, it's like I don't want shallow-ware released games. You know, like Tom Clancy's Ghost Division and all that. Like, You get what I mean, like Tom Clancy's new games, you know? Like you gotta check like
Oh,
you gotta check if the guy is dead because I don't think like he'll be licensing that shit. Because like, dude, I'm not looking for a game that has greatest map, that has the greatest world, that has the hell even the greatest gunplay. If it can have a deep, interesting lore with deep and interesting conversations, because
I can see that. Is because yeah, the game needs to be kind of interesting a little bit.
like gunplay can come naturally, dude. Like gunplay can come naturally, or if you're Doom, for example, gun can just be created with absolute amazing people. But like we have done all of this, why don't we have good narrative stories with good deep morality?
It's probably because of the fact that it's probably an off chance idea.
How so?
I think what happens is that it's not a priority.
Which is kind of stupid, isn't it?
I feel like I feel it's disappointing because it's really interesting when games question it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things that can happen. Take Elson Stark. Stark was, I think, was her name. Like the girl who was an ex-military ID creator who's worshiping the Church of Machine. Who had that you could like even saying one bad thing could turn the tables against you, and she would refuse to cooperate. By talking to her, if you convince her, she can give you She can give you the diffuser for the entire explosives that she's made, thus saving millions of lives.
Making my life 300 times easier.
It's like I was like, this is where I kind of say Deus Ex Mankind Divided had a nice touch with this. If you go to Palisade Bank, you can further Juggernaut Collective's cause, which is what you want to do to expose the Illuminati. But if you help, to continue to conceal your cover and help Ansel Stark with the whole by helping Miller, even though Miller dies, the guy who you have a relationship with on and off, he's still like you could save millions of lives. You lost one, but you lose millions. This kind of asks you a question: are you willing to lose a friend for lives a million, or are you willing to sacrifice millions to save one life? Unless you have played New Game Plus and done both of the things, in which case, fuck that shit.
Yes.
Because if you collect the both, then you need not worry. Or if you speedrun the whole thing, just taking the big boss down, saving everyone from getting orchid poisoning, and the mission accomplished, ladies and gentlemen. Hulk Benson can live again.
It's just yes.
Yes, but I think that we could have a lot about these types of games, but ladies and gentlemen, as much as we would love to give more and go into deeper context, the problem is this: we simply just not that we don't have enough time. We don't want to bore you to death with pointless just junctures. So, and we're gonna cut this off for now. Stay tuned for the next week to see another video we'll make. Until then, take care.
Take care.